Jesus dines with the disciples of Emmaus. The disciples of Jesus in the Gospel followed Jesus and stayed with him, but didn't always understand Jesus' words. They fought each other, comparing who is greater when Jesus told them to serve each other. Not only that, they fell asleep on the hill of Gethsemane when Jesus told them to pray with him. Jesus told his disciples 3 times that he would suffer, be abandoned, and be killed. However, rather than understanding what Jesus meant, the disciples were just afraid of it. Finally, when the moment of crisis came, all the disciples ended up running away. Peter, who pretended to be brave, denied knowing Jesus, so you can just imagine how the less brave disciples reacted. Jesus died on the cross, but that wasn't the end. Jesus came back to life as he said. Nevertheless, people who didn't have faith didn't believe it. His disciple Thomas even said that he wouldn't believe it unless he puts his fingers where they pierced Jesus on his side and nailed his hands. Other disciples probably felt the same. 2 of the disciples who witnessed Jesus' death no longer wanted to stay in Jerusalem, where there were people who hated and killed Jesus. So they were headed to a town called Emmaus, about 11 kilometers away from there. Just then, the resurrected Jesus came towards them. The disciples did not recognize Jesus. The disciples began to tell Jesus about what happened in Jerusalem to Jesus. Jesus pretended he didn't know what they were talking about and listened to them. Then he began telling them what the Bible of Moses and the prophecies said about Jesus. When they arrived in Emmaus, the disciples who were listening to Jesus said, "It's dark, please stay with us." The disciples probably wanted to listen to Jesus' stories more. Jesus and his disciples had a meal together. Jesus held the bread and offered a prayer of gratitude. As the disciples saw Jesus lifting bread and praying, and listened to what Jesus was praying about, they suddenly felt something that covered their eyes disappear. Then at the moment they said, "It's Jesus!" Jesus disappeared from their eyes. How shocking that must have been! How shocking it must have been that they never recognized Jesus for all that time they were walking with him and listened to him and felt touched by him. They recognized Jesus only when they began eating with him. Friends, the story of Jesus can be found not only in the words of the Bible, but also in our ordinary daily lives. We can meet Jesus even in the time that we eat, take walks, and talk to each other. Luke tells us stories about Jesus eating with various people and teaches about Jesus who is always with us. Perhaps the reason that we always say a prayer of thanks before we eat is because of the hopes of meeting Jesus, who is always with us in our tables.